and that she is. You know, this is a woman who was voluntarily, you know, using her platform and her voice to talk about the things which held meaning for her. And that was about her search for, you know, this exploration of her identity and feeling like an other, as she described it. Her mother's experience of racism, you know, the unrest in America. She's not shy about using her platform to make a difference and really to shed light on the issues of which are important to her. So she'll want to continue to do that.
Kehinde Andrews, you know, when Barack Obama went to the White House, there was this expectation, wasn't there, that the lives of African Americans were going to change. And do you think similarly, of course not elected obviously, but similarly with Meghan Markle, there'll be some kind of expectation that she'll be a champion and a new voice in the UK?
Well, I think if there is, it would be just as misplaced as it was with Barack Obama, because we're talking about a firm, as you put it in the video, an institution which may actually be the premier symbol of whiteness in the whole world, that has a particular platform which is about colonialism and British identity, that could never possibly allow one black woman, however well-intentioned, to make any difference to what it does and what it represents.
So you actually think that her voice will be more or less silenced, except in acceptable campaigns?
We've already seen no social media accounts. She has to go through the firm, as you put it, of the royal family. And this is what the royal family does. This is what it is. It provides you limited platform to say limited things. And anybody that expects her to be this champion for black people in Britain has literally lost their mind.
But Suzannah, it's not unheard of that people entering the royal family from different areas bring a new perspective.
Yes, of course, throughout history we've got examples. Prince Albert is a good case, Anne Boleyn, Queen Charlotte, wife to George III. Along the line, we've got many examples through history where somebody coming in has made a difference, either in terms of their own beliefs or in the impact they've had on the person who's ruling. Now, obviously, we're talking about a situation that's six removed from the crown, and I think that makes a massive difference, because I think it does create space for somebody who is very unlikely to inherit, the throne, for Harry and for Meghan to become Queen, to be able to speak out more. And I mean, I'm hopeful that the very thing, as you said so brilliantly in your video, the very thing that attracted Harry will not be the thing that is silenced after this point. That the very thing she's being praised for now in the tabloids will not be the thing that she's condemned for at a later point, which is speaking her mind.
Simon, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, outsiders have joined the royal family frequently through history, usually from other royal families. This is the first time.
But the pool's not so big anymore.
Well, you're right, and we've turned to America for a second time, last time catastrophically. But I just think we haven't a clue. The wedding is a ceremony. It's an English ritual. We do it fantastically well, but we do it our way. It's very specific. It's very sort of classical, and it's staged, and it makes everyone feel very good, and no one mentions Brexit. It'll be a terrific 24 hours when no one mentions Brexit. It'll be great. But I just don't think we can predict how she's going to respond to these pressures. I just don't think we can predict that.
But Jessica, when Kehinde talks about the fact that we're deluding ourselves, what's your answer to that?
I think we have to acknowledge, first of all, and this is really fundamental, Meghan isn't a black woman. Meghan is a mixed heritage woman, and there is a difference, because my experience as a mixed heritage woman is not the same as my girlfriends who are fully black, particularly if they are darker skinned. There is a privilege that comes with having a lighter skin. So therefore, to expect her, and we have to acknowledge that, because therefore she cannot be the champion.
So it's a privilege. That's a really interesting way of putting a privilege to have a lighter skin. You believe that?
No. That's an ideology which has been passed down through many generations, and it has no use to any of us.
Right.
But it's in existence.
But look, let's just talk about the wedding for a moment. Are you suggesting to me, Kehinde, that just say that her mother walks her down the aisle, a divorced black woman, a woman walking her daughter down the aisle, that will not have a resounding impact?
No, and I think this is actually where I think that the impact could actually be negative, because you see these images and you see these symbols, similar to Barack Obama, but actually he actually had some power. So there is a big difference here, right? And then you all get wrapped up in these, and hasn't things changed? Isn't it better? But guess what? If you're black in Britain tomorrow, or wherever it is they get married, you'll still be just as likely to be poor, just as likely to be harassed by the police, and your life would not have changed in any way.
But she's a clever woman. She knows that. And I would be very surprised if she wasn't able to make any kind of contribution to the debate.
Well, no, it's interesting because that comment that she's not black, my mother is very similar colour, is mixed in exactly the same way, and has never referred to herself as biracial. She's a black woman, and she stands for black people, and has always fought that politics. So when you say I'm biracial, you're saying a particular thing. So it's not just that she's a black woman, it's that she's actually shown no interest in actually championing
recognising that it's a mixed experience. Yeah. It's not the same. And the point is that when I talk about the word privilege, it's an invisible privilege because, you know, it just makes a difference. You know, you are not received in the same way as when you are fully black. There are benefits to it, and that's something which again has been passed down through history.
So do you think, Suzannah, that in a way it's acceptable to the establishment? That actually, as Kehinde says, it will make no difference. The establishment will still be the establishment. We will celebrate a perfect English wedding and nothing will change.
Let's remember, this hasn't been set up for PR purposes. This hasn't been set up to create social change. This is just two people who've fallen in love. But I do think that there is, you know, the royal family is symbolic. The role it can have, with her coming in, is symbolic, but perhaps there can be some consequences that are greater than that if she can speak up.
Well, interestingly, the royal family is symbolic, it is enduring, and by having commoners, by having biracial or black people within the family, does that give it a longevity for more years because it is seen not to be quite so distant?
Well, what this shows absolutely is that the royal family is reflecting modern society. This doesn't show that it's changing it. It is actually just reflecting what's going on.
And actually, Meghan Markle's family...
Can we forget the royal family? He's never going to get near the throne. Forget the fact that she's partly black. She's a very, very clever, bright, ambitious woman. And I think it'd be much better if it was discussed in terms of a celebrity wedding in which I think, and I don't know the parties to this at all, but I sense that she's going to be a very strong member of this partnership. I wouldn't be at all surprised if she didn't decide... It'd be rather nice if we went to go to America for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't take a position in America. He's the spouse of a strong woman. That's the important thing. And I have to say, I wouldn't be surprised if Meghan Markle didn't find herself in politics. And I love the idea of Meghan Markle running for president against Ivanka Trump.
Well, but the interesting thing is, you've just said it there, she's a very strong woman, possibly stronger than her husband-to-be. But because, in a way, there is a great deal of empathy with Harry in this country, that actually Harry will dictate, maybe, that she gets more freedom.
I think this is a genuine mistake in the conversation. Yeah. The whole conversation, not our conversation. I think the assumption is still that the man is dominant, that the woman has been graciously admitted into the royal family. They've been very kind. All these things have happened. I think those days are over. You've now forget race, forget family, forget royalty. You've got a strong woman with, I think, a probably weaker partner who may well dominate their entire relationship.
On the question of family, of course, because we know that the extended Markle family is complicated, but then we know the royal family is complicated. Actually, we know a lot of families in the UK are very complicated, and that allows to be to the fore again. So that's another point of connection.
I think from the moment that Clarence House put out that statement, coming to the defence of Meghan, the way she was being treated, the way her mother was being, it called out racism. There was a shift in tone, which I think illustrates, you know, is this wedding going to make a difference to race relations on the ground, to the fact that mental health hospitals and prisons are disproportionately full of black people? No, but behaviour doesn't change until perceptions and perspectives shift. And in order for that to happen, we have to have people in the room with that experience who could be of influence.
No, I mean, that's the exact problem. We should be talking about how do we actually deal with the problems of racism and celebrating an interracial relationship, which is nothing new about interracial relationships. They're as long as black people and white people have had contact. So nothing's really changed here. And to pretend that it has actually makes racism worse because we're not actually addressing the problem anymore.
But there is this extra point that Simon's raised as well, which is about the potential for a moment here. There could possibly be a watershed moment. This could be, maybe she won't make any difference to race relations. Maybe there's not going to be an effect there. I do think there's a possibility that she might have an effect on relations between men and women, on feminism. I think that the fact that she might actually lead the way a bit, she might be the first woman in modern history in the royal family who speaks her mind. You saw that when they met together as the four at the Royal Foundation. by comparison to the lovely and demure Kate Middleton, it seems that Meghan Markle is more likely to say what she thinks.
Her whole platform is because she married a man. This is such a patriarchal tradition, the whole princess thing.
This is what could change. I mean, that clip we saw at the beginning, she looked very impressive. No, it's just a clip. But she looked very impressive.
Speech. It was a good speech.
But I mean, I couldn't imagine Prince Harry giving that speech. And I just sense, I mean, if she's the woman she appears to be, she could literally be the dominant party. And if she decides, she's an American citizen, she's American-born, if she decides, my future lies in America, would you like to come back to America with me?
For a while.
For a while, or maybe for a long while. It's no skin off his nose. I mean,
would that be Britain's loss?
Well, I mean, I think what's interesting here is that would be fantastic, because what it would illustrate is that some of these old ideologies and ways of doing things that have been are changing. And we need to do that. You know, if an institution or a family or a person doesn't from time to time reflect on their ways of behaviour and their rules and then sort of update them, they become, you know, completely ineffective and out of touch and irrelevant to a modern-day society.
Quite right.
Thank you all very much indeed. All this week, Newsnight has been bringing you a series of special reports on Brexit and the Irish border. In a moment, we'll conclude our coverage with an examination of what Brexit could mean for the people of the border town of Strabane. But first, we're going to briefly return